Good evening and welcome to the Town of Riverhead Planning Board. Today is Thursday, April 7th. If everyone could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This evening we have three public hearings. We have one of those days. Ms. Bergman is up at the podium. Have we received the affidavits and postings and mailings?
Yes, we have. For the first public hearing is for a site plan application known as 48 3rd Street Townhomes. And yes, we have received the affidavit of posting as well as the notice of the mailings.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm not sure, I still think we're having a little technical difficulty on Mr. Sandluski's end, so I'll just give a brief overview of the project.
It looks like he's sending you a message.
Check host audio.
Tell Marty he's holding it backwards.
Sorry.
He's holding it towards himself.
Nothing? All right.
You should sign out and sign back in, that's how it'll work.
It might be on our end.
Mic's on. Yeah, now the mic's on. Am I on now?
Yes, there we go.
There you go.
Welcome, welcome.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right, Marty, take it away.
Yeah, well, we started this project a while back on 48 3rd Street. It's a 4-unit townhouse project. Originally, we started...
Excuse me, can I just stop you for 1 second? This is a public hearing. Would you mind stating your name and where you're from?
I'm sorry, Martin Sandluski, architect, Riverhead.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
It's quite all right. So we started the project a while back. Originally, my client actually wanted me to do a project with 6 units. Way too much for the site. We cut it back to 4 units. And then we've gone through quite a good review with both the Architectural Review Board and the Landmarks Preservation Committee. So both of those meetings have gone very well and have assisted us in evolving the project into a design that is very well received by both boards. Also, in addition to those boards, we did go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for 2 variances. One was a rear yard setback to the railroad tracks, and the other one was the width of the entrance driveway at the street. The rear yard setback is to the tracks. It was really not an issue. In the front yard, we kept it at a 20-foot driveway. We did note to the zoning board that was important to us, even though there were other variances granted in the area that included parking. We did not seek a parking variance. We have parking per the code on site for the units. So the units are 4 townhouse units, a very nice design, and we're looking forward to proceeding further with the application and approval.
Does anyone have any questions?
Marty, I have one question for you. Have you applied to the health department yet?
We're actually applying to the sewer district to get our sewer invert, and then we will submit that to the health department.
Thank you.
Good enough for somebody to come up. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up to comment on this matter? We don't have anyone on Zoom?
We do have 3 people on Zoom.
We do, okay. Well, there's no one in the audience, so can we move over to Zoom?
You need to make an announcement if you want to talk about this application, they should raise their hand.
Oh, on the Zoom?
Yeah, on Zoom, yeah.
Okay, if anyone would like to discuss this application, if you could raise your hand if you are in the Zoom room.
All right. If anyone wants to speak on it, they are free to unmute themselves, so if anybody would like to speak on the application, you can unmute yourself and do so.
Okay?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Next, we will move on to Purple Beach Major Subdivision.
Good evening, Isaac Israel, office address 889 Harrison Avenue, Riverhead. I'm one of the applicants. Subdivision located on Doctor's Path. It's a 9-lot subdivision. One of the lots, of which one of them will be affordable. And you've seen it before. There's area that is going to be preserved on the north side. That's the scenic buffer.
And you said they're going to be affordable?
There's one affordable, there'll be
One
one
affordable.
lot within the affordable guidelines that the town has yet to adopt.
Greg, have we got an engineering report?
We've got Vinnie's comments on the sketch plan. I'm anticipating his comments on the preliminary plat shortly. I spoke to him yesterday, so we will be getting them.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Available for any questions.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up and comment? No? Anyone on Zoom that would like to raise their hand for a comment?
I had another question, if I
Yeah.
may. I noticed that the lot is wooded. And the plan shows that, I guess, the trees will remain around the perimeter. Is that correct? So that there'll be a buffer at least with your neighboring properties?
There's just a buffer on the north, there's just a buffer on the north side of the property, this way that the houses on the next block don't have 2 front yards.
So in other words, the area will be cleared. Will there be any plans to like replant some vegetation? give
We're
some
not,
sort of screen?
we're not planning on clear cutting it or anything like that. It's a wooded parcel, but where the houses will be, will definitely be cleared.
Oh, yeah, but I'm talking about the perimeters.
There's no, we haven't asked for any restrictions on that or anything.
Well, at least the plan shows that it's going to be wooded, and I hope that you would keep that so that the neighbors and the new neighbors can at least have a little separation.
That'll be up to the owners or up to the planning board.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, can I have a motion to close?
Make a motion that we close the public hearing for Purple Beach Major Subdivision, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on now to the Long Island Cauliflower Association Commercial Center.
Good evening. My name is Richard Israel, and I am the owner of Richmond Realty, with offices located at 889 Harrison Avenue, Riverhead, New York. We are the developmental consultants for the Cauliflower Association related to the project at 365 Mill Road, Riverhead. We were responsible to post the property and mail out the notices of this hearing. This was completed, and all the affidavits were handed into the planning board. Tonight, we are here with representatives from the Cauliflower Association, Young & Young, Chick-fil-A, and Dunkin' to answer any particular questions the board might have or the public. The subject property was purchased by the Cauliflower Association in 1934 for the use of an agricultural auction block for their cooperative shareholders, farm produce and products. The property was actively used this way through the 1990s. The property still contains an industrial building that is used for storage for some of the inventory of Cauliflower Association. After 88 years, the property's use as an agriculture, for agriculture, and the growth on Old Country Road have made these uses obsolete for its shareholders. The Cauliflower Association business has transformed over the past years as a source for agricultural supplies, from seeds to fertilizers, used by our farming industry. In 2018, our company was selected to assist the Cauliflower Association in developing the parcel as consultants to determine the property's highest and best use. Their goal was to create a performing asset of their company. Their intent is to maintain ownership of the land and create income for the association to help support their ongoing agricultural supply business for the farming community. The property consists of approximately 7 acres on the northwest corner of Old Country Road and Mill Road. It has 250 feet of frontage on Old Country Road and has 1,100 feet of frontage on Mill Road. It has an address of 365 Mill Road and is referred to on tax maps as 600-101-111. The property is currently zoned BC. The property has Old Country Road on its southerly boundary, Riverhead Commerce Park along its westerly boundary, a residential neighborhood to the north, and Riverhead Center to the east. The first submission of plans to the planning board was in 2019. In May of 2020, by resolution of the planning board, they assumed lead agency for SECRA as a SECRA review. The resolution required the applicant to perform a traffic study for the project. A traffic study was completed by Nelson and Pope and submitted in October of 2020. This study was revised last December based on the plans containing the restaurants shown today. The study called for the applicant to align the entrances on Mill Road with the Riverhead Center's outlets to the east. The plans have been adjusted based on the study and its recommendations. The Suffolk County DOT, who's responsible for Old Country Road, has reviewed the plans and made recommendations which have also been incorporated. The Old Country Road access is a right turn in and out only. The plans have been adjusted by comments from our local utility companies, Riverhead Sewer and Water Districts, Suffolk County Health Department, Riverhead Fire Marshals, and the Riverhead Planning Board. A 50-foot buffer has been created on the northerly residential boundary, leaving the existing vegetation, setting the parking lot lower, and creating a small retaining wall and a double hedge of arborvitaes. These improvements should shield this community from the light and noise directly from this complex. We've been working with the Chick-fil-A organization for over a year to design a site that will accommodate their building and their traffic flow. The drive-through has 3 lanes and can hold 39 cars in queue, and additional overflow within their property. Their site consists of over 2 acres with a 5,625 square foot building. The property has been designed to handle the expected flow of cars and associated traffic. The restaurant will have 70 seats inside and an additional 38 outside on their patio. The parking lot has 98 cars of parking where the code requires 37. Chick-fil-A is an organization that understands flows and volumes of their customers and how to adjust to these volumes during their hours. They are experts in providing quality food and having client satisfaction. They have adjusted to our modern day needs and the communities that they serve. The second pad contains a Dunkin' Jimmy John restaurant. We are all familiar with Dunkin', and Jimmy John's is a gourmet sandwich shop. This will provide, there is provisions for a Dunkin' Donut drive-through, which currently does not exist in Riverhead. Their building is 2,560 square feet and contains both franchises. The building will have 30 seats inside with additional patio seatings of 20. The parking requirement is 17 cars and 25 have been provided. The project as a whole is within all of Riverhead's planning ratios. The lot coverage is only 7%. The landscape area is well over the requirements. The site has over 254 stalls of parking, where only 149 are required. We've tried to create a park-like campus setting for the complex that will service our community needs. Our team is here to answer any questions that you might have about the complex. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just ask you, you just, when you were discussing Chick-fil-A, you said that they have parking stalls for over
98 parking stalls on their site,
but the requirement by the town is 30-something.
yes.
It seems like an awful lot of extra asphalt.
Well, just because the town requires a certain amount, the basic restaurants know what they need for their flows of the people that come in and come to their restaurants. A restaurant never wants to find a situation where you pull into the parking lot and can't find a parking space, so you go on to their competition. So, perfect example is a Red Lobster. A Red Lobster may only have 200 seats, which our town would only require 70 seats, but they would not take on a site that they didn't have 150 parking spaces, because they want people to show up, they want them to enter the building, they want to serve them. So, you know, if you're a party of 6 people, but you show up in 3 cars, it doesn't meet our parking requirement, but they understand what they need. And they come to us with their requirements to say, hey, we want this amount of cars.
The project require any variances?
We do not require any variances. We will be going for a sign variance, because we're going to need 2, we'd like to get 2 signs, one at the Mill Road entrance where the light is going to be, and obviously one on Route 58. And we're still trying to discuss the size of that sign and what would be allowable.
Do the structures have basements? Or they're on slabs?
All our restaurants do not have, no structure has a basement.
And you also mentioned a small retaining wall. Could you expand on that?
Sure. So the grade of this property grades up from Route 58 heading north. What we figured we could do to help shield those residential tenants, and because we want to balance the site with what material is on it, by lowering the grade in the back, and we figured out it would go down about 2 feet, 30 inches. What that would do is we would, all the cars basically would be below that. So if a car is heading north, its lights would hit that slope. Instead of making a slope there, we thought it would be better. Again, the retaining wall that we're talking about, and maybe I shouldn't say retaining wall, it's only going to be 30 inches high. So it's going to be something that will cause a break, allow us to set down that building and its parking lots. When you look to the west, in that particular area, you're going to see that the grade is higher than Riverhead Commerce Park. So by lowering that grade, it helps balance that, and we can use that material to balance in the front. Over the years, in the auctioneers and stuff, the front of that lot has been, I'll use the word dug out, but it's been worn away, so it's a little bit below. So we need fill, So we figured we're going to take it from the site, bring it forward. It's going to cause that back site to get lower a little bit. It will help everything in that site as far as traffic, the lights and things like that. And then I know that we were talking about how do we protect the people in the back. So by lowering that down, and then right behind that retaining wall, if we put that double row of arborvitaes, it will shield that. We don't want to, I had visited the site, the 50-foot that leads from the homes in the back is well treed, but it's not treed with, it's treed with maples and oaks and this and that. So they have a high canopy. So by putting the arborvitaes there, it will basically do that, but the arborvitaes are going to be 30 feet away from them. So we want to leave those maples and oaks as they exist and try not to disturb that land, and then put a row of arborvitaes behind our curb. So the curb will be there. We figure that we normally would leave 3 to 4 feet behind that curb so that as a car pulls up, they're not hitting the wall. And then you would see that line of evergreens. So they would also get light and air to the backyards of their homes. Their lots are not large, and they would have the quiet enjoyment of that 20, 30 feet that are left.
You didn't mention the other two buildings. Do you have tenants for them?
We currently do not have a tenant for those buildings, but they've been planned to basically, as we show it. We're hoping that we had a tenant for the third spot. We have not finished our negotiation with them, so there's no disclosure of that at this point. And we thought it would be good for Riverhead to have another sit-down restaurant. COVID has kind of changed that a little bit, but we believe that that will come back. Prior to COVID, we did have some nice sit-down restaurants which would add to our Riverhead choices.
Your intention to develop the whole site all at once, or just the first two buildings, which you know are going to be used?
The plan has been phased. There is the phase of Chick-fil-A is the first one. With that, we expect to balance the entire site and also plant the perimeter. So the perimeter that would go all the way around. Phase 2 is the Dunkin' Donuts, which we're assuming we're going to be doing at the same time. So phase 1 and 2 will be done. The road that leads to the north, we will try to complete that as we go. And probably the third pad and the fourth pad will not be completed until we have plans. And obviously, each of those, we would be coming back to you to say, hey, here's their particular site plan, and we would need your approval on those third and fourth pads.
We talked about, I'm sorry, we talked about waterless landscaping on the western boundary, either rocks or fake grass.
I think we pretty much have a hedgerow there that runs the whole thing. There's a fence that will be along the property line, and
Waterless? Will it be waterless?
waterless.
Yeah, no irrigation?
We're expecting to put irrigation wells on this site.
At one point, I think we were talking about leaving the western bank, which is not that wide, waterless with either the rocks or,
Well, if we put plantings in it, it usually takes 2 or 3 years for them to become happy, and at that point, their irrigation or their purpose has very little at that point, once they're established, most of the stuff that we use.
The question I have is regarding the Jimmy John's and the Dunkin' Donuts. The flow of traffic, I mean, I'm not familiar with Jimmy John's. You're saying it's an upscale.
It's like a Jersey Mike's or a,
Okay.
So,
Is that something, I'm thinking it takes a lot more time to make a sandwich than it does to
to pour a cup of coffee and give you a donut. My concern is, there's a backup of traffic if we have to wait. You know, donuts are pre-made, McDonald's are pre-made, Whoppers are pre-made, whatever you have. That would be more of a specialty type, as you're saying. How would, you know, time-wise?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if it's Hi. Nirja, will you come up? You have to come up to the mic. So this is Nirja. She is the owner of the Dunkin' Donuts franchise here in Riverhead, and she's also expanding.
Hi, my name is Nirja Jain, and I am the owner of the Dunkin' Donuts here in Riverhead at the Circle. And I am going to be the one planning to do the new location drive-through. So along with that, I will also be planning on Jimmy John. Jimmy John concept with the drive-through concept is a little bit different than the other ones. This is also more like a fast food. There are very few items, very few sandwiches, so it wouldn't be, you will be making it per order, but it moves very fast. So they have had many drive-throughs around the country and are pretty successful at it. So it's not going to be where a lot of things are chosen. It's got a pre-set sandwich where you pick a few items, pre-made ones, and so it probably will not delay any of our, the line. It won't delay the line.
What we're afraid of is we're afraid of another BJ's Gas, you know, where, you know, no one expected that to be a bottleneck the way it is, and I can, you know, if you have to wait for a sandwich, you know, to be made, I just can see where, how does the flow of traffic, maybe you can explain this, Mr. Israel. Are there kiosks where you order and then you just drive up and wait because there's two different drive-throughs on the same building?
So
Correct?
I believe that the queuing line on the Jimmy John side is about 5 cars, but they could actually, because they're not entering a road, they're staying on their property, they could actually queue up a little bit around the front and, you know, towards the Dunkin' Donuts line. Yes, they would be in their aisle, but they would be in their own aisle. They, you know, that's why the front of that building that faces Mill Road is kind of the exposed side, but the quiet side.
So, interior-wise, if I want to have my donut and coffee inside, there's spaces for that, and as well as with Jimmy John's?
You
I
would
can
park your
sit down.
car. It kind of shows that on the south side, if you're going to Dunkin' Donuts, you'd probably park on the south side and walk in, and the Jimmy John, you would park on the north side. The Jimmy John entrance is actually on the west side of the building, and the Dunkin' Donuts thing is on the east side of the building. So it's kind of, has a back and a front, where each franchise has their own entranceways.
Identity, it's got their own identity, basically.
Yeah.
So it's the
The
same
kitchen
building,
is
it looks
common.
like two, sure. All right, and obviously, there'll be signage on Old Country Road. If I'm traveling eastbound, I cannot enter into the property.
If you're traveling eastbound, you must turn at Mill Road in all cases. That is what the DOT wants. There's a great turning lane there because of,
There is a
you know, Home
pre-existing.
Depot, so it's a double turning lane.
Yep.
You'll approach up to that light and make your left, and you'll be getting off of Mill Road and either heading towards any of the customers and franchises within the property. The idea is to get them all off of any public road and let them be within the confines of the complex.
If I can, just to circle back, George, I think you were trying to address the concern with the Jimmy John's Dunkin' Donuts having the 2 separate drive-up windows.
Right.
So, no, like, the northern side on the Jimmy John's would really only leave room for like 4 or 5 cars to be queued up at a potential order board before it backs up onto the side where Dunkin' Donuts is, you know, they're trying to exit their line. It just seems like it could be a lot trying to put 2 separate windows on 2 separate sides of the building. Maybe there's a way that they could utilize one window. I mean, if it's going to be in the same building, come up with some way where there's one drive-in window where they can combine it, rather than have two separate conflicting drive-throughs that basically encircle the entire building.
Is there currently on Long Island a Dunkin' Donuts drive-in? And any Dunkin' Donuts drive-through exist? Where's the closest one?
The closest one is, I would say we have one in Ronkonkoma, we have Medford. The closest one would be those. Shirley, yes, Shirley has ample, couple of them. Mastic has.
Yeah, there's a number of them throughout the island.
I have a silly question. Now that times have kind of changed, and now we have Grubhub and DoorDash, will they be on the same line to pick up?
No,
There's a
they
total-
don't come on that line. They come, park the car and come in. We have it ready for them. They don't come on the same line.
Okay.
They park the car and come in.
Do they know that? Is that standard
Yes,
practice?
yes, very
I've never
standard.
used them,
Yes,
so
very standard.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
I just see like around 12 o'clock, all these DoorDash people ordering, and so that's good. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Any questions?
I mean, the other thing you just have to remember is both of those franchises complement each other. Dunkin' is busy in the morning, the Jimmy John's will be busy in the afternoon towards the evening.
Good point.
Makes sense.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to come up?
So, my name is Audrey Keener. I live at 5 Plover Court in Riverhead.
Can we get you on the mic?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Audrey Keener, 5 Plover Court in Riverhead. Regarding the Mill Road going north, there are 2 lanes going, one goes into city center, whatever you call it, where Home Depot is, right? The other one is a straight away. It is not a turning lane. So if people want to go into this shop, this big development here, they're going to block all the people that want to go straight. There's not 3 lanes.
There will be.
You're going to put 3 lanes?
There's a turning lane that will lead into
Okay.
this complex.
Okay. Now, all right, then one more thing. When they come out of, well, I mean, okay, so on Old Country Road,
Could you more address?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And you cannot enter into a dialogue because you're not being picked up by the transcription.
I'm sorry.
I'll let her ask her question.
I'm not used to this, I'm sorry. So on Old Country Road, as you're heading west, there is going to be a turning into this center, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay? And then you also can come out of that. Okay, so when you come south on Mill Road, you are making you can make a right-hand turn there. There's no traffic light. It's a turning when there's no cars. Is that going to change?
So that was actually from the traffic study that they did. They
Okay.
recommended putting a stop sign at that, when you're making a right onto Old Country Road. So rather than just have people whipping around that turn,
Flowing in?
they're gonna have to come to a stop and then enter the flow of traffic.
Okay, at the same time that people can come out, and then other people, can they make a U-turn on Old Country Road as you're heading east? People will be looking to make a U-turn
I
to
mean,
get
so-
into that
Okay,
shop.
we'll
They
get a
won't be
ticket.
able to
I
do
was just
that?
gonna say, it's illegal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
okay.
anybody can.
Oh, it's
perform it.
illegal?
Yeah.
I believe so.
It will be,
Okay.
there will be, if you're traveling eastbound on Old Country Road, there will be no left turns into the Old Country Road.
Okay,
Driveway.
into that
You'd have to-
driveway.
you'd have to
They
make
had
a
to go
left.
up to Mill.
You have to make a left turn onto Mill and then enter the
Okay.
site through the new turning lane.
Okay, all right, good. Can I ask a couple of other questions, not regarding the traffic? Just general questions about this?
That's why we're here.
Pertaining to this public hearing?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So the Chick-fil-A is going to be the first building, and then we're going to have the Jimmy John's and the Dunkin' as the second building, right?
Yes.
I'm just trying to
In terms of when they're
making sure I'm,
constructed?
excuse me?
In terms of when they're constructed, like the
No,
phase
no,
of
no,
them?
I mean, that's the way the layout is,
Yeah, so the Chick-fil-A is closest to Old Country Road.
right,
Further north, you have the Dunkin' Donuts, Jimmy John's.
okay,
And then as you go, there's two more buildings further north, but their tenants are yet unidentified.
right. So is there a buffer at all, just a hedge, I'm assuming, for the, between Commerce and this development, I'm assuming?
They are, it looks like they've got some drawings here.
Boards are posted in the back of the room.
Okay, all right. Okay, so, all right, my only, well, just as an extra comment is that we have so many empty buildings, I don't know how long they anticipate to get these other two restaurants filled.
Thank you very much.
George Buckingham, the park manager at Millbrook, adjacent to where they're trying to do all this stuff. Now, we have the issue last time, Eddie knows what we dealt with, where Costco is and everything else. They put up that wall, which unfortunately, that wall doesn't really help much. I mean, I'm out at 5 o'clock in the morning walking my dogs, and I'm hearing all the noise. We've had Nissan got this stupid alarm speaker that says you're entering private property and everything else, no trespassing. You can hear that through my park. Additive products in the back are blowing off a big air compressor in the mornings now. I can hear that. You know, it's just the problem is we're gonna have a lot of noise up in front of that park. And the thing is, how are we gonna start getting out of there? Because Eddie knows it, everybody knows it here, that 58 on the weekends, you cannot go left or right. And also, they block that light. A lot of times, they get caught in that light and they can't go nowhere. And nobody can come up Mill Road. So I don't know what to talk about the traffic study. It's a mess. That whole thing is a nightmare. I mean, you don't even want to go west of that, especially if the raceway opens up, all that stuff, forget it. You can't move. It'll take you 20 minutes to get to the expressway, or longer. You know, and what are you going to do on Mill Road? We're going to have a crosswalk so that my tenants can walk across Mill Road without getting hit, because there's no crosswalk there now. And also, he's talking about the entrances. Now, he's going to lower that property 30 inches. So when he puts the entrance in, say the back one, going to Home Depot, that's going to go down to a ramp. That's going to have to slant down, right? If he digs that out. It won't be straight down.
I believe it's a cut and fill, where they're gonna cut from the northern side and bring it down to the southern side. Is that accurate?
What I'm saying is the roadway, though, to get in there, that roadway's going to have to go down. If you're going down 30 inches in the back of that property, the road's going to have to go down into it. That's what I'm saying.
I'll address it when you're ready.
Yeah, you gotta do it on the microphone.
You know, it's just like, we're going to get a wall, or what we're going to do with this problem, you know, or something. Bushes don't work. We went through that already. We already know that. And, you know, 10, 12-foot high wall would be nice back there. We still have problems with lights from the Costco development. You can see them every time. And the thing with dumpsters and all, 5 o'clock, 5:30, you hear them in there. There's trucks in there, you hear them. You know, there's a lot of concerns. We went through enough already, and how much more do we have to do? Try to get this straightened out, so we don't have to deal with it. I got elderly people right on that side, you know, that like to sleep. They can disturb everything.
So, the back building, and that's why we made it that sit-down restaurant. It's really not going to be operating at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's probably going to start at 11 and probably go till 11 at night, okay? It's set back, the building itself, if you look at the plan, it's not on the 50-foot line. There's actually some loading area there and stuff, so I'm not sure how far it is. It's about 100 feet from the northerly property line. The roadway that leads in is another 150 feet before it enters, I would say. And at that point, our grades are not as severe as it is in the back. So we're basically taking something that's has a grade to it, and we're leveling it down. The entrance into that, if you look at the plans, is well to the west of the property. You actually have to drive in, get towards the westerly side, and then turn up into the northerly parking there. I'll leave it up to, if George is the one who can help determine. I think it's terrible if we would build a 16-foot fence on the property line, because the backyards of these homes are very small. So when I went to look at it, I said, why shouldn't I give them the current courtesy that they have of leaving those oaks and maples and stuff there, and give them that, allow the light. If I put a 16, 13, or 10-foot fence along the property line, they will get no sunlight. That is their southern exposure. If that's what everybody wants, I will gladly build it. But I try to come up with something that at least the people that are living in those homes, they're going to have kind of 30 feet of open space right now in the discussion that we're having, and they're going to have a line of evergreens that they're never going to truly see through. I'll say it may take 3 years to fill in and whatever, but they're going to be looking at a green line of evergreens. And I think that is better planning than me putting up the fence like we did behind the Stop and Shop. That we've learned from our mistakes. So we've created these setbacks from the residential and the like. So I can't help that 58 and Home Depot is across the street and things like that. We do have some very large retail boxes that open early in the morning and is of no comfort to the people, I'm sure, that live in this community. These restaurants, most of them the Dunkin' Donuts is probably the only one that's open I'll say in the early morning. I don't believe Chick-fil-A serves breakfast, and I don't believe, what time does a Chick-fil-A normally open?
Well, we do serve breakfast at 6:30 in the morning. We serve.
6:30, you see that? So, I don't think George has ever had any issues with Riverhead Commerce Park, which is also his neighbor to the west.
They have dumpsters, people coming in.
The garbage men.
They probably get them all over. Here on my block, I'm all on the list. What's that problem?
Okay, can we keep this addressed up here,
Okay.
please?
All right.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, George. Come on up. No? That's it?
That was true.
No.
Hi, my name is Robert Keener. I'm a town of Riverhead resident. And pretty much following up on the Chick-fil-A, the Dunkin' Donuts and Jimmy John's, it's really the two other places I'm concerned about, that are these buildings going to be built with no leases or anything? Or is it going to be empty for 2 years? Not quite sure about that.
Excuse me for interrupting,
Yeah.
they're not going to be built, they're not building 4 buildings. They're building one, a second one. There is currently no tenants. They will not build, and they have to come back to this board when they do.
Okay. So right now, we're just looking at
Two.
the 2 buildings, basically. Okay. You mentioned about, will there be any tax benefits to potential drawing companies for the town of Riverhead that we'll have to give?
We don't take care of that. That's not our, we don't.
Totally different departments.
And basically, I wonder, we've been talking about the north side of the, as far as the vegetation, as far as, what about the western side? Is there going to be any trees there? Are there going to be just a fence there? Are they going to knock down the trees there that separating Commerce and this new development?
Well, it's all commercial.
Is there any creative landscaping going on here? I mean, what's going on? Or dumpsters going to be in full view, and I just wanted to...
Did you look at the site plan on the back wall?
I did the small site plan that I saw actually online.
Excuse me, why don't you finish your questions, and then the applicant can respond to them.
Okay, well, those are the questions. Is there any other landscaping? We're just talking about the north side here for the, what about the boundary between Commerce and the new development? Is that just going to be open, or another fence, they said? There's a fence? It basically looks like we're trying to shoehorn a lot of building here into this area. It's basically, you know, we've seen there plenty of town of Riverhead empty buildings around. Do we need two more, basically? I know they're not going to be built, but you know what? Most likely builders like to build.
Well, that's down the road. So right now, why don't we let Mr. Israel
Okay,
answer
thank you.
the questions that you've already asked? Thank you so much.
The plan is very well landscaped, actually more than normal. And I am the owner of Riverhead Commerce Park to the west. And I have required, I don't want to use the word required, we've worked together to make sure that there is a fence line there and that that entire westerly side has a hedgerow, because I own all the office buildings on the other side. So I want to give them quiet enjoyment and the like. The original plan for this development was to have the Chick-fil-A and 42,000 square feet of boxed retail. And with COVID and everything that has happened, we've learned that we are better off not to create, as you've just suggested, more space. I've been a developer in Riverhead for 35 years. I know that everybody keeps thinking that there's so much empty buildings within Riverhead, but it's a misconception. Okay? So,
Well, to your point there, the planning board doesn't get to pick the winners and losers, who can use their property, who can't. People have property rights. If they fit the zoning, they're allowed to apply.
right. So basically, what we've designed here is, there's two buildings that hold major restaurants, which are 5,000 square feet, the Chick-fil-A and the building in the back. And the other two pads, which are for the fast food, we'll call them, are only 2,600 square feet. So the footprint of the buildings themselves has gone down to about 15,000 square feet, where it used to be 45. That has given us the room to do this orchard plantings and the like. There will be street trees planted. There are trees and islands within the parking lots. They're not what you see in front of your ShopRites and major shopping centers. It's really designed to be a nice atmosphere for you to go and dine. We're hoping that you pick that place versus other places. And that's what will attract the other two tenants. We will not build without a tenant. And most of these leases are at least 20 years or longer. Hopefully that answers your questions. Please take a look. We have other boards here that are bigger and larger in dimension. And if you have any questions, I'll gladly be here afterwards.
Thank you, Mr. Israel. Do we have anyone else from the audience? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone would like to say anything? Raise your hand on Zoom. No?
Make a motion that we close the public hearing for Long Island Cauliflower Association Commercial Center.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we have several discussion items on the agenda for this evening. First, we're going to start with Heather Drojanowski. She has the Edwin Fischel Tuccio transfer of development rights.
The applicant represents us at the table or come to the podium?
I'd like them to come to the table, please.
Heather, what do you have in your cup, vodka? Do you have in your cup vodka? What go with that?
Okay, ready? Ms. Judd, how are you tonight?
So we received an application for TDR's, transfer of development rights. Oh, and Mr. Cuddy is here as well. So Kim Judd here for Mr. Tuccio, Charles Cuddy here for
Bill
Bill
Zerrono.
Zerrono.
Oh, you drew it.
Well, corrected, but. So here's the sending area.
Yep.
So we received an application to transfer 7 credits, TDRs, from 784 Middle Road, better identified as tax number 682-111.3, to a property on Sound Shore Road, identified as 824. The former property is located in the Agricultural Protection Zoning Use District. And then the latter property is split zoned, RA40 and RA80. APZ is a designated sending area, and both RA40 and RA80 are receiving areas. So the Tuccio property, which is the 784 Middle Road, did have, it has rights already encumbered. The designated sending area, as notated on the survey, is completely separate, does not overlap the areas already encumbered. It's a total area of 304,920 square feet, 920,000 square feet, which is a total of 7 acres. And that transfers to 7 credits.
That was my question. I can tell a little bit.
Okay.
But just so you know, this is, the Villas at Roanoke is that subdivision that's off Sound Avenue that has 14 lots. The way we got 14 lots was we're getting 7, because we're in the RA40, RA80 area. We're getting 7 of those that we can add to our site, so instead of having a 7-lot subdivision, we have a 14-lot
It
subdivision.
effectively increases the density of the receiving area while preserving acreage on the sending area.
Mr. Goodyear, I just ask a follow-up question. That since that project has been with us several times, has there been any movement by the county at all to look at the property? No, the county and the applicant could not get together, and so that's why they're going forward with this application.
And subject application is designated unlisted pursuant to SECRA, so the recommendation is to just have planning board assume lead agency status without the need for coordinator review. There are no anticipated negative impacts because it's preserving farmland.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to our second discussion of Dreamland at Forest Drive minor subdivision, charters.
Am I allowed to make a comment on that last discussion, or?
At the end.
No, you can make a comment at the end.
At the end.
Right. I have Andrew Graham. He's the applicant's representative for this application. It's a 3-lot subdivision. If you're familiar with the area, it's on the southwest corner of 25 Main Road and Forest Drive, just opposite of All-Star Lanes Bowling Alley. This application proposes to, as I said, it's a 3-lot subdivision of a 2.943 acre parcel. Lot 1 is 47,913 square feet. That'll be on the corner of Forest Drive and Main Road. Lot 2 is just over 40,000 square feet, as is Lot 3. In terms of the surrounding area, you have commercial uses to the west and to the east, and across the street to the north, with largely residential in the back, which is the Duck Ponds Estate subdivision. In terms of some issues I've identified on this up front, when we look at the town's wetland inventory, it did show that there was a wetland on this property. It was in the southeastern corner as per the map. The map's from 1978. We do have documentation from that time that says there was about a 1 acre wooded wetland on site, but it was never field verified. I did a site inspection on March 11th. It's flat, there's no signs of water, anything that would indicate a wetland on the property. The surveyor also noted on the subdivision map that there were no wetlands within 300 feet. The test hole showed that the groundwater was at least 10 feet below grade, so from all the information we have, there's no wetland there.
Is it a DEC mapped wetland?
It's not, it's a Town of Riverhead map, wetland. Soil survey shows that it's Plymouth and Carver series, which that's very sandy and well drained. We did ask the applicant to have someone certified in wetlands flagging go out to the site. They said there was no evidence of a wetland either. We got a letter to that effect on April 1st. Other than that, on compliance with zoning, all the lots comply. This is CRC, which is campus or residential, commercial residential campus, which allows for apartment complexes, but it also allows for offices and single-family homes. Some changes on the map that I've noted. They'll need to show the zoning line, because the southern edge of this parcel is where it changes from CRC to RA40. In terms of SECRA, this is an unlisted action. I'm recommending the board assume lead agency without the need for coordinated review and issue a neg deck. Water district, this is in the Riverhead Water District. We did refer it out, but haven't received comments yet. There's an 8-inch main in the road. They'll need health department approval before final approval. The title report's been forwarded to the town attorney's office. Highway department noted they'll need road opening permits. Planning commission found it to be a matter for local determination. And then the last thing, in terms of access to Lot 1, which is the one on the corner, I'm recommending just for residential uses that they preclude access to 25. As you know, there's no signal on Forest Drive. They have the box in the road, but it's almost impossible to go either direction. So I'm recommending that they just go out onto Forest. I also prepared 2 resolutions, one for SECRA to assume lead agency and issue a neg deck, and then to schedule a public hearing, I believe, for May 5th.
Okay.
The zoning on Lot 1 is not commercial? It's
The whole
residential?
thing is CRC, which is a commercial zone but allows single-family homes.
I mean, the whole area is, this fits
Yeah.
with my property. I don't know that I would do that with it.
Everybody good?
Yeah. Questions? Good?
All right.
I'm fine. Thanks.
Great job, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Okay, Greg Bergman is going to come up now for Silverback Holdings LLC.
Yeah, you can.
Mr. Cuddy is coming up for this one, right?
Yes, he is. All right, so what we have is a 2-lot minor subdivision application seeking approval to subdivide an existing 1.84 acre parcel of land, create 2 separate lots having sizes of 0.34 acres and 1.49 acres. Proposed action is an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA. We've reviewed the subdivision application and the short environmental assessment form and completed parts 2 and 3, and find that the proposed minor subdivision will not have a significant negative impact. Thus, planning staff recommends the planning board classify it as unlisted, assume lead agency, and issue a negative declaration. This application will require 3 variances before it could be approved by the planning board. It will require a variance for substandard lot size. Lot number 1 is proposed to be 15,000 square feet, where the minimum required is 40,000, and impervious coverage for lots 1 and 2 both exceed 15%. The development on the parcel is all pre-existing. The parcel contains a 8,200 square foot one-story masonry building, the Polish Hall, and there's a 3,900 square foot one-story frame building with related parking areas, landscaped areas, et cetera.
What's going to happen to that building?
So I believe both buildings are proposed to remain. Believe the purpose, Mr. Cuddy can speak to the purpose of the subdivision, but I believe they're both going to remain.
So with the other building, not the Polish Hall, but the other building?
Both buildings will
Is
remain.
usable?
Yes. What happened, this is a building, if you remember, was John's Flooring for years. There was a sign on it.
Yep.
Last year, unfortunately, a car ran into the front of the building, and that's why there's plywood there right now.
Oh.
But it had been used over a period of time, and my client's storing things there, and right now, that's what he intends to do with it.
I just wanted, I didn't know whether you were going to knock it down or what.
They will go to, yes. So right now, the use of the 8,200 square foot building, the use of that building is well established, the Polish Hall. There's been a number of building permits that have been issued on that building. The one the 3,900 square foot one-story frame building, as Mr. Cuddy said, the John's Flooring building. There's no records in our building department files of any type of permits. I did look at Suffolk County GIS. There was actually a very clear 1947 aerial. There's no question that that building predates zoning, but there's no verifiable records in the building department in terms of use or occupancy or any permits that have been issued such. So one of the recommendations, which doesn't necessarily preclude the board from acting on this application, just a recommendation that the applicant apply for letters of pre-existing use for both of those structures. The use of the 3,900 square foot building, if they need to come in for building permits, they'll need to bring everything up to building code and fire code. Could probably use a little bit of love after all the years of not being heavily used. So staff takes no objection to, just having the applicant apply for those and establish that the structures did pre-exist. One thing that,
You're saying that the applicant has things in this storage area now? It's being used?
He has some things in there, very few, but he has some things in there, yes.
yeah, so again, the use of the building really should be established. Letters of pre-existing use to establish that the structures predated zoning in 1965, and then he really needs to come in for a use permit application if he is, because like I said, right now, there is no verifiable record of any type of occupancy or use. I've heard, again, number of uses, Googie and Gus's Flooring, John's Flooring. It's been a number of things throughout the years, but nothing that we can verify through the records. I don't think it would be a...
It was there for years and years. It's on top of the tracks.
Yeah, I don't think it's a substantial lift. I don't think, again, there's anything that would preclude the board from moving forward with the subdivision. It's just, if someone's going to buy this property, they should really make sure that they're...
Are they going to go ahead and get the letter of pre-existing use?
It's a recommendation. It should be done.
We'll try and do that, yes. But one of the reasons for this is really economic. The problem that the Polish Hall has at this point is they're in a very desperate situation economically. So this is going to hopefully keep them going, and that's why they're selling this site.
Will they lose any parking?
No, not really, because the number of spaces that would be required for this is very small for this particular building. And the parking field's going to stay essentially the way it is.
That was the one thing that I did know when I went out there. There was no parking striping in that southern parking lot at all. I did kind of sketch up just a scale, just roughly, they could demonstrate a parking plan, and they really should demonstrate a parking plan just to maximize the parking in that parking lot. One of the recommendations being that we are dealing with kind of a unique situation where they're splitting a lot with two existing buildings. They should establish cross-access and shared parking agreement, and the subdivision should be conditioned that there should be no fencing or other obstructions erected on that lot line that would create any kind of non-conforming conditions, just to allow for safe traffic flow in and out of the site and throughout the site. Did refer the plans to the water district. Right now, the Polish Hall building is served by a 1.5-inch water service, and there are records of an inactive 5/8-inch water service off of Sweezy Avenue, presumably going to the flooring building. The property is located within the sewer district. The Polish Hall is connected to the sewer building. However, the sewer district did do a internal pipe inspection with a camera and found that the building on Sweezy is not currently connected to the sewer. So I anticipate that's something that will come up during the health department review of the application, and really should be made a condition. I'm not sure if it would need to be done before subdivision approval, but surely prior to any building permits being issued for that 3,900 square foot building. I did refer it to the Suffolk County Planning Commission because it's within 500 feet of state-owned property and the railroad tracks. I have not received comments back from them yet. So at this meeting, I do have a resolution to classify the action and issue a negative declaration. That will allow the application to move forward through the Zoning Board of Appeals. They can get that variance. The board can then move forward with the public hearing.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cuddy, do you ever sleep? You're always busy.
Keeps you going. Okay.
Sure does.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Let's move on to our fifth discussion item, Valerie Good, Chapter 219. Again with Greg.
Yep. So we've got a Chapter 219 application seeking approval to construct a 156 linear foot stone armor rock revetment wall with a 12-foot return on the west end, to import approximately 95 cubic yards of clean beach sand, and to install terracing, erosion control fabric, and bluff stabilization plantings along bluff face at 2 residential parcels on the North Shore and Baiting Hollow. The 2 parcels where the rock revetment and improvements will take place are on the north side of a private road known as Cliff Way. Those 2 properties are held in common ownership with residential properties located on the south side of Cliff Way. In Figure 1, I did demonstrate the aerials, split them up by color so you can see who was the common ownership. It's an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA. They have received a New York State DEC permit for the proposed action, and the town's consulting engineer took no objections to it. So we do recommend a negative declaration, as this will serve to prevent further beach erosion. As I stated, the applicant did receive a New York State DEC Article 25 Tidal Wetlands permit, which is valid through November 23rd, 2026. We did refer it to Vinnie Gaudiello in a memo dated March 18th. He took no objections to the project and recommended engineering approval pending satisfaction of any issues raised by the planning department. The only issue that I indicated and I identified is that town code prohibits motor vehicles, because they are proposing to take beach access from the Edwards Avenue beach access at the end of the road. Pursuant to town code, motor vehicles cannot travel on vegetation. They must operate waterward of the debris line, or where no debris line exists, must operate seaward of the line of mean high water. So in order to enter the beach, they will need a hold harmless agreement from the town attorney's office. And there are conditions in there. I believe they're prevented from using the beach between May 15th and September 15th of any calendar year. So basically during the beach season, summer season. Well, that would, it didn't come up at all during the New York State DEC's review.
The road there, Cliff Way, is that a private road?
It is a private road.
Is it a paved road or is it?
It's gravel. It's a very, it was my first time being up there and I was very impressed, but it really is quite something. But no, it is a private road, gravel, bluestone type surface. But yes, it is not maintained by the town. They do have public water up there, but it is,
When the project's done, it's going to hamper the public's ability to use the beach?
no, the rock revetment will all be on their property. It will not be near the high water mark.
It's interesting that the lot is on both sides of Cliff Way. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, there actually was the property just to the east of the property in green.
Yeah.
There actually is like a foundation there that's, at some point I believe there was a house there. And
Yeah, I see
yeah,
that.
I mean, it falls off pretty precipitously. Just climbing up and down those beach stairs was quite a workout. It was,
Been there.
yeah. So, yeah, again, no objections taken to the improvements. Gonna, save the beach, save the bluff face, preserve some of the property owner's property.
Is the
and-
property to the west, does that have any protection?
No, there is a, I think it's like a 50 to 100-foot gap. There is no rock revetment. The owner, Valerie Good, is going to put rock revetments across her two properties, so there will be a gap. It's really up to that property owner to reinforce their property, but there will be a return on the west end, so it'll really it should help to prevent some washout going out that west side.
That's great. Okay. And our last discussion item, Donnelly, Chapter 219.
All right, so this, I do have a contractor here, I believe is Mr. Rich Bosworth. This is a request to grant an extension of an application for a Chapter 219 coastal erosion hazard area permit. This was one that John Flood worked on back when he was with the planning department. This was a 219 that was approved by the planning board by resolution number 2019-54 back in June 20th of 2019. That application, at that time, you granted approval for the demolition of an existing 980 square foot single-family residence and authorized the construction of a new 2,000 square foot single-family dwelling located landward of the Seha line. The approvals granted by that resolution expired on June 20th of 2020. There were a couple of unique factors for this. The applicant was restricted from doing any type of clearing or land work, I believe, by the New York State DEC. They were basically lost, I think, like 6 months of time just based on clearing restrictions. Obviously, you had the winter, and then COVID hit, which kind of put everything on a pause. Mr. Bosworth realized that the approvals granted by this application, the resolution had lapsed. He did go back to the Zoning Board of Appeals. They did need a ZBA approval for the location of the house. He went back to the zoning board. The zoning board granted an extension of their approval. So he's here now asking for a one-year extension of the planning board's Chapter 219.
How much was he given by the ZBA?
1 year.
1 year as well?
Yes.
No changes in the plans, exactly the same?
Nope, it's the same plans. The zoning board extension will expire February 13th of next year. But they can apply for the permit as long as the permit's issued. That's the holdup. Right now, the building department can't issue the permit because the approvals have lapsed. So he's pretty much ready to go. I believe you've gotten health department approval.
Oh, we've had it, yeah.
So they've had, they're pretty much ready to go. They just need the board's approval to extend that. Aside from that, all the facts and circumstances are the same. Nothing's changed, so.
Bats and viruses.
And there you go. And it's all.
Sum it up.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Have a good
Greg.
night.
You got it.
Good job as
Thanks.
always. Do we have any public comments on the resolutions? Okay,
Okay, I'll move resolution number 26, which classifies and it gets us to be lead agency on Silverback Holding.
I'll second it.
okay, vote please. Bear?
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Yes.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
I'll move resolution number 27 for Valerie Good for Chapter 219. So moved.
I'll second it.
Vote please. Bear?
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
Resolution 28, Donnelly, Chapter 19, granting a one-year extension of approval of Chapter 219 application.
Second motion?
Vote please. Bear?
Aye.
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
I'll move resolution number 29, which authorizes the transfer of development rights from Tushio's property to the subdivision on Sound Shore Road.
Second it.
Vote please. Bear?
Yes?
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski? Aye.
I'll move resolution 30, Dreamland and Forest Drive, the minor subdivision, is classified inactive, excuse me, pursuant to secra and assume the lead agency and issue a negative declaration. So moved.
Second the motion?
Vote please, Bear.
Aye.
O'Day.
Yes.
Nenaro.
Aye.
Nacesky.
Aye.
Woski. Aye.
I'll do Resolution 31, Dreamland at Forest Drive, minor subdivision. Scheduling a public hearing for a minor subdivision application seeking
Second.
approval to subdivide 2.93 acres.
Second it.
Vote please, Bear.
Aye.
O'Day.
Aye.
Nenaro.
Aye.
Nacesky.
Aye.
Woski. Aye. Okay, do we have any public comments on all matters? Okay, we do not have the minutes from the prior meeting. We will probably have them next time. Our next meeting is going to be March 17th at,
April
this
21st.
is,
21st.
this is March.
April 21st at 3.
Oh, on the bottom. Sorry.
All right. We knew what you meant.
Thursday, April 21st at 3 o'clock. Thank you. Oh, do we have any correspondence? No. All right, thank you.
Motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second the motion?
Have a good night. All in favor? All in
Aye.
favor?